Hello Heart Warrior family, and welcome to my channel, Follow Your Heart. I wanted to start this channel to share my family's journey and to provide some kind of comfort or insight to other families that have babies with Tetralogy of Fallot, or even other family members that have someone that has Tetralogy of Fallot, just to give some kind of information. I know that when my husband and I first found out that our son was going to be born with Tetralogy of Fallot, the first thing we did was search the internet for any kind of information we could find. I am by no means a medical professional. I am simply just sharing my journey, my family's journey, hoping that it can provide some kind of insight. I just want to help by sharing our journey. So I'll start with a little bit about me. My name is Crystal. Again, my son is 5 months. He is unrepaired. He has Tetralogy of Fallot with severe pulmonary atresia. We are hoping to be able to wait until he's around a year old to have his surgery. So as of right now, he's doing really well. We're hoping it stays that way. You know, it's a really scary thing. It's a day-to-day thing. We see our cardiologist probably every other month. And every time it's nerve-wracking because I'm just hoping for good news every time. And luckily, thank God, we have been getting good news after every visit that he's still doing well. We're going to keep monitoring. We're going to wait. But yeah, so I just want to start at the beginning. So we were, just like any other family, excited to be expecting. And when I was having my ultrasounds, they were having a hard time seeing what they needed to see on his heart. At least that's what they said. He's not moving right. He's not in the right position. We're just not seeing what we need to see. So I had several ultrasound appointments, and then I was referred to see a specialist, an ultrasound specialist. And when I saw my OB, she actually suggested that I don't have that specialist ultrasound because she said that everything looked fine, baby was doing great, baby was growing great, and that it wasn't necessary for me to see the specialist. So of course I'm going to follow the direction of the medical professionals. So I canceled that appointment to see that specialist. At my next OB appointment, I saw a different OB because my original one was not in that day. And she had asked me if I'd seen the specialist yet. And I explained to her the situation, that my OB had said that I didn't necessarily need to see the specialist. And she said, oh no, you absolutely need to see the specialist. We're not seeing what we need to see, and we need to see that in order to check off everything that your baby's doing well. So I said, okay, I'll go see the specialist. When we went to go see the specialist, that's when we got the news that our son was going to be born with a heart defect. Of course, it's a specialist, so they weren't able to tell us exactly what the heart defect was, just that it was a heart defect. And I remember being so devastated because the way that this specialist, and I don't know, it's a lot of emotion. So maybe it's not necessarily that the way this specialist told us our son was going to be born with a heart defect. Maybe it was just my emotion, the heightened emotion, being pregnant and everything. But I remember right away feeling like my baby wasn't going to make it, that I was going to lose my baby. And I was devastated. I was crying hysterically. I was supposed to go to work later that day, and I called off because I was just a mess. And I'm sharing this because I know that for a lot of other moms, it's scary. And it's okay to be scared. It's okay to be emotional because you don't know what you don't know. And we just simply didn't know. So I right away felt like it was tragedy. Like, oh no, I'm gonna lose my baby. This can't be happening. I was scared. I was really, really scared. So from there, they sent us to see a cardiologist. So a couple days later, I saw the cardiologist, and that's when she told us that it was Tetralogy of Fallot. And she actually explained it to me, obviously much better, because she's a cardiologist and she knows exactly what she's looking at. And that kind of helped put my mind at ease, because she assured me that we can fix it. Everything's going to be fine. So I definitely did feel a lot better. But then she wanted me to go to LA, because my husband and I were from California. We currently live in California. Our insurance is with Kaiser. So they referred us out to Kaiser LA. They work with Children's Hospital, which have all of the pediatric cardiologists, like the top dogs. And so they referred us to go out there just to get for sure confirmation that that's what it was, the Tetralogy of Fallot. So we went out to Kaiser LA. And of course, this is COVID, so I'm going in all of these appointments alone, which is nerve-wracking, and I'm sure a lot of other parents went through the same thing. So I went by myself to see the high-risk OB and a pediatric cardiologist. So they did their ultrasounds, and I had the two doctors. I had the OB and the cardiologist in the room doing the ultrasound. And that's also nerve-wracking too, because they're communicating with each other, speaking in their medical terms. And of course, I didn't understand, and I'm sure that a lot of other moms are going to feel the same way. You know, you don't know what's going on. You don't know what they're saying. You don't know what they're talking about. Is it good? Is it bad? Is my baby going to be okay? At least that was everything that was running through my mind. And I just remember being so scared. So scared, even though I had spoken with the other cardiologist previously and she kind of put me at ease. Just being in that room with these other doctors, speaking to each other as if I'm not even there, saying all these words that I don't understand, it's really scary, and I was not at ease at all. But after that appointment, they took me into a room, and I was able to call my husband on FaceTime and have him on the phone while the cardiologist explained to us what exactly it was. And that was reassuring, because he was very confident in the fact that my baby was going to be okay, that it was something that 100% could be fixed, and that we just had to be one step ahead always. So that's when they told me that they wanted me to have my baby at 39 weeks, that we were going to do induction so that they could make sure all of the medical staff that was necessary, all of the surgeons would be there, and be prepared to do surgery right away. Because again, I was 27 weeks when we found out. I was already pretty far along, so they weren't able to see what they needed to see, because my son's bones were already fully formed. So they weren't able to really see what it was. They knew that he was going to have pulmonary atresia, but they weren't sure if it was going to be severe or if it was even there. So they wanted to make sure all of the medical staff was there and available for when I gave birth. So when I was induced, my induction actually ended up leading into an emergency C-section. And that was really scary for me. I had never had a surgery in my life, so I was just so afraid. And I remember already doing my research when they told me, hey, we're gonna have to induce you at 39 weeks. And I remember just reading everything I could on induction. And a lot of my readings were saying that you have a higher chance of going into an emergency C-section with induction. And then I remember even asking my OB, hey, I've read this, is it true? And she said, yeah, it is true, but we're hoping that that's not what happens. We're gonna do everything we can, blah, blah, blah. But of course, to my luck, it went into an emergency C-section. So I just remember being really, really scared, because I just wanted, I remember not even thinking of myself. Of course, I was scared because I was going to have surgery and I had never had surgery, but that fear lasted only a little while. And then it went into the fear of, is my son going to be okay? And that was all I could think about, was getting my son out. Is he gonna be okay? Is he gonna have surgery right away? Is he gonna need the surgery right away? And just all these thoughts going through my mind. And then when he was out, because they weren't 100% sure the severity of his Tetralogy of Fallot, they had to take him right away. So I, was not able to see him or even hold him. I heard him cry. My husband was right next to me the whole time, so my husband saw him. My husband even was able to take a little video of when they got him out. But my husband saw him, and when they were taking my son to NICU, my husband went with them. So that was reassuring, and that was comforting, that at least one of us could be with him. But I definitely do remember being devastated that I wasn't able to hold my son. I didn't get that experience of having that skin to skin time when he was first born. But again, I asked a lot of questions following up to giving birth, and that was definitely something that my OB was 100% truthful about. She said, we might not be able to let you see him. You might not be able to hold him, because we'll need to take him right away to make sure that he's okay. And I remember preparing myself for that, but actually being in it was a little harder, and I get a little emotional, but in the end, it all was for the best. Luckily, he did not need surgery right away. So once I was able to get up and walk, I was able to go to NICU to see my son. I wasn't able to hold him while he was in NICU, of course. And then, of course, because of COVID, made everything worse. So yeah, it was really an emotional time. It was really hard, really, really hard for me. But my husband was a great help, really comforting. And man, for anyone who doesn't have a partner and is going through this alone, I just have my hats off to you, because it's hard. So yeah, he was in NICU for about 2 weeks. They did the monitoring, making sure he was okay for him to be able to come home. We already knew that he wasn't going to need surgery right away, because they had done a full exam of his heart and found out that it is Tetralogy of Fallot with severe pulmonary atresia. My son's anatomy of his heart is a little different, but I'm hoping on my next episode I can get my husband on, and he can kind of give more explanation of his anatomy. I am not really good at really understanding what his anatomy is. I'm more of a draw me a picture type person, and we haven't really been able to sit down with our cardiologist to have them really draw out a picture for us so that we can really 100% understand. But my husband has more knowledge of it, because my husband does more of the Tetralogy of Fallot research than I do, just because of my fear of falling down the rabbit hole of going to all of the worst case scenarios of Tetralogy of Fallot. So to stop myself from doing that, I don't really look so much into the information of Tetralogy of Fallot. I'm more of a, how do I keep my son healthy and thriving and growing so that we can get him through surgery. So I'm hoping next episode I can get my husband on and he can give more explanation of my son's anatomy. But yeah, I just wanted to share that little story of our initial, and that's the baby crying, it's time to get off. So yeah, I just wanted to share that story, give that little bit of insight, our first experience giving birth, bringing our son into this world. It was all okay. He is doing great. I will get him now and show him to you guys. One moment. Say hi. Here is my beautiful baby boy, Manny. He is 5 months old, and he's doing great. If you didn't know he had Tetralogy of Fallot, you wouldn't think anything is wrong. He is a normal baby boy, normal functioning, normal everything. And I remember one of the comments on a Facebook page that my husband and I follow, a support group for families with people who have Tetralogy of Fallot. A comment of a mom who had just found out that her son or her baby was going to be born with Tetralogy of Fallot. Of course, she was scared and wanted some advice, some comfort, and just wanting to know what to expect. And she had mentioned that her friend told her that she should get an abortion. And that broke my heart because if that is something that she decided to do, of course, it's 100% her decision. But I couldn't imagine this beautiful baby boy not living with this beautiful baby boy. He's my world. He's my heart. And I will continue to share our journey with you guys, with this beautiful boy, this heart warrior. Thank you all. And in the comment section, let me know if you guys have questions or want to share your stories for anyone else who is reading the comments. But yeah, definitely any questions you guys have, let me know. Ask them. And on the next episode, I will answer. We are an open book. Thank you all. Bye.